Good evening, everyone. The principals of various colleges, faculty members, my colleagues from TISS, and my dear students. I welcome all of you to this important webinar on the art and science of networking by Professor Balakuntalam Sridhar. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce him to the audience. Dr. B.S. Sridhar, Management Professor Emeritus at the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh, taught corporate strategy, international business, and leadership for over 30 years. Dr. Sridhar earned his BS Physics, MA in Personal Management from TISS, and MBA and Ph.D. in Organizational Theory and Organizational Behavior from the Ohio State University. As a senior executive in the multinational corporations, Dr. Sridhar has practiced all facets of human resource management. Sridhar is a consultant and a trainer in strategic planning, leadership, team building, conflict resolution, creativity, organizational change and development, and cross-cultural management. His clientele includes a number of Fortune 500 multinationals in US and Europe, and also a number of non-profit organizations and trade associations. We welcome you, Dr. Sridhar. Very happy to have you here with us today. Before I cut across to Dr. Sridhar for this much awaited session, I request Mr. Tanmay Nayak, Director of NUSSD, to say a few words. Over to you, sir. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you, Ramyaji, for introducing somebody we love so much. And in a very short span of time, he has already established a connect with a large number of NUSSD students across the country. And we are always grateful to him for conducting such enriching sessions for students. And students also, we see that this is a great opportunity for you to learn from somebody of Dr. Sridhar's stature and understand some of these important things which have become important even more because of social media, etc., that you see today. And sir, we are always grateful to you for conducting these insightful sessions, and we always look forward to it. And we keep requesting Chitraji, can you make a request so that we have one more session by him. So this is happening again, and we look forward to learning this from you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Sridhar, sir, I request you to kindly address our students. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As it was mentioned, let me get this one going. Today, I will be sharing with you something about the art and science of networking. And the learning objectives for today are: how do we define networking? What is networking? Why is it important for one to be in a good network? What are the different types of networking possible? Are there some barriers to networking? There are some things that you should do and some things you should not do when you want to have a successful network. And finally, what can I take away from today's presentation in very practical terms, and how can I be good at networking? These are the learning objectives. I do not want to embarrass anybody, but let me take you back 22 years. I had a very dear friend and a researcher, co-researcher, who also happened to be my wife's boss when she was working at Indian Institute of Management, Bengaluru. Dr. Gopal Valecha and I became very good friends, though Sandhya and I relocated to United States in 1980. At that point of time, we are talking about 20 years. Gopal and I worked on several research projects. We have a concept called sabbatical in the university. That's when university gives you time to go away from your regular work and conduct something, either research or study, so that you recharge your intellectual batteries, if you will. So Gopal and I decided that we will work on some project in Bengaluru. And promptly I moved. He arranged for me a furnished apartment on the campus at Indian Institute of Management, Bengaluru. As soon as I landed in Bengaluru, a friend of mine told me, I have some sad news for you. I said, what is it? Gopal passed away last evening. Just imagine, I have come all the way. He's such a dear friend, and we have laid out next 6 months what we're going to do. And as soon as I land, I see Gopal is no more. I went straight and attended the service, and then next day I picked up maybe even that night itself, I picked up my phone and called my very dear friend, Praveen Shastri, who happens to be here on this particular webinar. This is what Praveen told me. Sridhar, I know what you're going through. Okay, don't worry about it. You come in and I will connect you up with people who can help you with your research project. Praveen had already lined up the numbers for people like Bhaskar Pramanik, who headed the Apple operations, Suhas Patil, who was the chief of HP, Hewlett Packard. A number of them were lined up for me. And needless to say, I'm extremely grateful to Praveen, whom I met on the TISS campus almost exactly 50 years to the date. May I request Praveen to unmute himself and say hello to the entire group here. Praveen, mute yourself and speak. Hello? Maybe he will join at a later stage. So hopefully he will, because this is what I mean by networking. And you will see networking is not an accident. Networking requires a lot of thinking and long-term thinking. Now, what is networking? It's a system of information contact and support. I have highlighted those phrases so that you focus on them. Information and support created for building and nurturing personal and professional relationship. It is not enough for you to have a professional relationship. You have to have that personal relationship. Yes, Praveen and I, we are professionally on the same field. We were educated together, but it went much beyond in the sense we have a personal relationship. Okay. Vital for career and personal success. Both Praveen and I have kind of retired from our regular job, but that personal part is still very, very relevant. So networking is about activities that we engage in to develop and maintain relationship with those who have potential to assist them in their work or career. Now, if that is networking, you may ask, why should one network? So I request Ramya Chitra to enable the participants to use the chat feature and answer this question for me, please. Why should one network? Let's pause for a couple of minutes and see what they have to say.
Hello, Sridhar, this is.
Excuse me?
Students,
Please
you all can
people-
use the chat window and write the answers in the chat window.
Yeah. Is the chat already enabled?
I can see Mr. Sastry there.
Okay.
He just posted a message saying, welcome, Mr. Sastry.
Tanmay sir, Shastri sir is not able to unmute himself. There was
That's
some.
fine. Keep it coming. Why should one network?
Hello.
Welcome, Mr. Sastry.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Namaskar and welcome.
Good communication and leadership, okay? Help you develop and improve your skill set. Information. Good to communicate, to connect. Good, good. Keep it coming. It will make us updated, okay? What are the reasons we should be? Let's give another 20, 30 seconds and see if you have something else to share. Okay, let's work with some of these ideas. Will help everyone. Patience, something new learning happening. Okay, communication to others, more knowledge. Yes, several of these reasons are very valid reasons for networking. So let me share with you a few more reasons why networking is useful.
Hello.
Okay. There we go. Networking can help with increased job opportunities for you. Believe it or not, even with LinkedIn, all the digitalization, even now, 70 to 80% of the jobs are filled by people whom you know. So it's important to be in that network so that you get to know when you have a job opportunity. Job performance, yes, you can learn a lot and perform better because somebody in your network shows you what to do and what not to do. You have a problem, you have a decision to make, you can get input from these people in your network. Networking can increase your income. It may result in promotions within the company. Career satisfaction. I'll tell you, career satisfaction is not about you yourself getting promoted and having a larger income. You will also be contributing to others' development, and that can be a very, very satisfying experience. And I will share with you a little later in the presentation. Access to information, visibility. If you're not seeing, people forget you. So you have to gain visibility. You can seek career advice, social support. Forget about all your profession. If you have some personal problem, and if you think you had a failure or you're afraid, it is the network which helps you with social support. Business leads, maybe you want to sell something. Maybe you need another clientele or a customer. Maybe you want to buy something. So you can see that networking is very rich in that your life can be transformed with effective networking. Now, what is the support in research then? Fred Lutanz, who was a professor at University of Nebraska, he did a study with his Russian graduate student. He found when he separated very successful leaders from not so successful leaders, there was one behavior which stood out as a difference between these two populations. Very successful leaders were very good in networking. So this is the paper, as you can see, was published in 1988. But he and his graduate student from Russia went and studied leadership in communist USSR. Nothing to do with the capitalist America, but the communist USSR. There again, they found the most successful leaders among them were the ones who were very good in networking. More recently, MIT, there was a research done, and this was the basketball coaches. Right now, basketball championships are going on in the United States, the professional. So he looked at 341 college coaches in basketball. 90% of the head coaches had worked with another head coach, and there was a network. Most of the coaches were affiliated with one of the 8 distinct families associated with legendary coaches. So if you want to test it out, just look at the BCCI in India, the cricket, and look at how well those players who have retired have networked, and you see wherever you go, you see somebody or the other who has either played the game, has been with the game for so long. So in other words, a family or a fraternity of cricket has come in. So research support is quite clear that networking helps. So if networking can help so much, how come people don't network? Again, I would like you to use the chat room to post your responses. What stops people from networking? Or ask a better question. Do you network? If you don't, why is it that you don't network? Please enter your answers in the chat, please. Introvert behavior, okay? Others? Lack of communication. You meant contact, I take it. Language, yes. Lack of knowledge, lack of confidence, lack of soft skills. Good point, good point. Who said that? Ardad, Vaishnavi, yeah, okay, good. Less information about network or fear of hacking. That's Neha, good, good, keep it coming. Often people don't network because they expect immediate results. Absolutely correct, absolutely correct. People expect immediate payoff. Yes, Praveen, it's nice to see you there contributing. E-commerce awareness. Yes, do you know how to use some of these digital platforms to network? Any other? Any other?
There was one, fear of rejection.
Oh, okay, yeah. Rejection could be, yeah. Lack of communication skills, and they think payout may be immediate, it doesn't happen. Yes, wonderful. We have quite a few reasons that you have identified. They are pretty relevant. Let me add a few more of my own. Apathy. You are just not interested in, oh, kaun karega? So I don't want, I'm fine. And some people say, oh, no, it's low, they don't have much great expectations. What's the point? If I just show up, I'm one among 100 or 1,000, I'm not going to get anything from it. A lot of people think that it is slimy, something, which is not ethical. It's bootlicking. Brown nosing, that's a very American term. Waste of time. Oh, it requires a lot of hard work. It's difficult. Oh, it is somewhat false and fake to pretend that you know so-and-so and go there. Is forced socializing. How can I put a permanent smile on my face and then keep smiling at stupid jokes, right? So these are some of the things that people often mention why they do not network. Some of people have barriers, like, oh, I'm an ordinary student, what can I do? Oh, I have a very low position, I'm just a clerk here. How can I go there? Age, oh boy, those people are much older, and I'm a young person, how can I go there? And if you're talking about network, somebody in the organization has already beaten to you and they're already there. So they're competing. Let me take you another one, the nature of activities. I can talk to you personally about it. Both those things, golfing and drinking, right? Believe it or not, I used to go to Chembur golf course, not to play golf. I had the signing privilege. I would sit in the 19th hole, and that's where I did quite a bit of my business with union leaders, interviews. Golfing is not my thing. Though I understand the game, I follow it on the TV, it's not my thing. I don't have to go to the first 18 holes. I can go only to the 19th hole. Drinking. Well, I have a beer and I enjoy it once a month or so, but this has been an issue for me in the United States. In India, it is changing, but my generation, which came immediately after the independence, we were still bogged down by some of the values, which meant drinking is bad. And in America, a lot of socialization happens in bar. For us, bar means something very unethical, immoral, right? So that's why I don't show up in bars, though it is not. Bars are very different in the United States. So, but still, I have that reservation. So I will miss out on making contact in those. So that's a personal choice. How much time can I spend on this networking? Ye bakwas hai yaar. What is the point? Cost. I can't afford it. Going to those conferences, the amount of energy needed, the appearance, and ethnicity. Oh, I belong to, I can see that happen in India, because I tell you, my wife was the bank psychologist for Union Bank of India. And she would tell me how difficult it was for some of the Dalit candidates in India, even to step into the interview room. They would leave their slippers outside out of respect. After centuries and centuries of ill treatment, they find that maybe I don't have a place here. Why should I go there? So caste, creed, race, ethnicity, these can be seen as potential barriers for effective networking. So how do we deal with that then? So what are the barriers which are specific to women? I see quite a few women, right? So let me see, give me a couple of reasons. Again, let's go back to the chat room. And I want women to participate. but men are also allowed to share their perspective. What are some of the reasons or barriers that you find for effective networking? I'm now focused on women. Pooja, not comfortable talking to people they don't know. Okay. Others, please go ahead and post. Lack of family support. Vaishnavi, that, yeah, you would have to convince your family. Yes, I understand the ground rules there. What other? Women? Limitations? Yeah, what kind of limitations? Lack of confidence, lack of family support, again comes in. Peer pressure. Okay. A few more reasons why women may have other kind of barriers or different kind of challenges. Misuse of our data, absolutely. Lack of society and support. I will take only 1 second away from this. When I started today's seminar and when I was looking at the gallery, there's some of you who had put your personal information as a card as your entry. Please don't do that. That's your private information. Okay, so privacy, individual mindset, society, what does it think? Fear, shy, uncomfortable with exploitative nature, absolutely, absolutely. Lifestyle choice. So you can see there are some challenges that women face which men do not. So let me take a look at this research that we have. These were the reasons cited by women, and few men also thought that these affected them, but they did not think it should be. Few men thought, very few people felt that it affects them, men. On the other hand, women talked about low position, the damage, that exploitative you talked about, boredom. You go there and they only talk about cricket. What I've got to do with cricket? Oh, they talk about stock market. I'm not interested. Discouraging culture, family, tiredness. Isn't that the truth? Still in our society, a career woman has to go back home and take care of the child, take care of the family. Where is the energy left? Age, appearance, again, ethnicity. These were specific barriers cited by women why they do not network. Other gender differences. Men had more fully developed informal networks than women. Men's networks relatively had high status individuals compared to women's network with similar levels of education. Women tend to use their networks for mutual social support, whereas men are focused on careers. I will catch that a little later in another slide too. There is a gender difference in what we consider important. And it suffices to say, women are more focused on relationships and men are more focused on very practical, pragmatic, career-oriented issues. Okay, so going further, we must understand when you're looking at all these networking challenges and networking barriers, there are different types of networking. One such classification is operational. Just one thing distracts me. Make sure if your hand is up, please bring it down. I will have another opportunity for you to question. Amit Pathak, please make sure your raised hand is down. Thank you. Three distinct but independent forms of networking are operational, which helps the manager with current job, internal responsibilities. Then we have personal networks, where your personal development is the focus. And then there is strategic, which takes the best of both operational and personal and looks at, in the long term, what would be valuable. Look at this chart, for instance. Operational. Operational meaning what you're doing right now in your job. Okay. Getting to do the work efficiently, you need to make it because you depend on other people. If you know your phone call will be returned very fast, right? If you request, it will be returned very fast. So it is basically to improve the efficiency within the organization so that you can deal with your current challenges easily. And contacts tend to be mostly local in the organization. And it's all focused on short term. And key contacts are relatively discretionary, whom you want to catch and all that. Those are a little difficult to determine how high somebody is and how low somebody is. However, because you're working with them within the organization, within the operational ecosystem, they tend to be quite deep and strong. Then there is personal, enhancing your personal and professional development and helping others to get good contacts. That is the purpose for enhancing your personal network. Contacts tend to be mostly external because you're a profession. Profession is much larger than your company or your organization. So it deals with both your current and future. Maybe you go to that network and say, look, I have this problem at work. How can you help me? Hey, I'm looking for this information. How can I deal with it? We have done that very regularly, right? So we reach out to these people in our personal network to ask them their input. And key contacts tend to be mostly outside the organization, and they tend to be broad, not as deep. The kind of networking that I would like you to develop is strategic networking, where you are looking at future priorities, challenges, getting stakeholder support so that you can achieve those long-term goals. Where would I go for that kind of networking? It would be both internally in the organization and externally to your organization. Very much a time orientation of future, a long-term perspective. And whom I am going to network depends on your strategy and your environment. So attributes, again, a lot of leverage, okay? It's not 1 + 1 now. It is actually multiplying, you're leveraging with both internal and external contacts. So the right time to build a network is always before you need one. You suddenly said, oh, I need somebody, I need to know someone in, let's say, in Hindustan Liver. Oh, what can I do? There is a job interview coming up and I need to talk to somebody, how I should prepare. Whom should I contact? It's too late. You should have thought about it ahead of time. So the right time to build the network is before you need a network. In other words, everyone should start now. I see in chat room, some people want to ask me questions. I have plenty of time for you to ask questions as we come to the end, okay? I certainly will take a lot of questions. So now, if this is the right time, where do I start? I happen to have the fortune of being trained in the Stephen Covey paradigm. This is way back in 1994. I went through what's called the Train the Trainer. And much of these ideas you can find, and I very strongly recommend reading that book. You see, that book came early in 1990s or so, about 30 years. Still, it's very valid. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So if you want to network, begin with the end in mind. What exactly you want to do? What exactly you would like to be? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, how do you visualize yourself? So that's what I mean by strategic. Synergistic, meaning win-win. So the whole is greater than sum of its parts. To give you an example, 3 plus 4 is 7, right? 3 plus 4 is 7. That's a very, adding kind of model. On the other hand, what is 3 times 4? Or to borrow, in India, we used to say, and I think we still say, 3 into 4. Because don't do that. Communication in America, if you say 3 into 4, it means 3 divided by 4. Same language, right? You can see. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 is much higher than 7, isn't it? So that is the idea of synergy. The whole is greater than sum of its parts. I will take a minute, and within a few seconds, I will demonstrate what synergy is. Number 3, whatever the goals, it has to have value framework. Seek a higher purpose. Take, for example, I heard about this exploitative nature. So don't compromise on your values. Please don't. You get even more respect in the eyes of those people, including those people who wanted to exploit you, if you stand firm. So make sure that it is value-driven, strategic, long-term, synergistic, win-win for both of us, and value-driven, meaning seeking a higher purpose. That's why Michelle Obama talked about it. Success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives. Goal orientation is very important. If you know where you want to go, then you can find a path to it. If you don't know where you want to go, any road will take you to nowhere, right? So have that clear goal in mind. Now, goals can change, but it's important that you start with that. So let me take you to an example of how to seek this strategic, synergistic, value-driven network. I will show you an example of that. Look at this diagram. This is a block, wooden block, 5 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Imagine for a moment these 2 blocks are not there. It can carry 435 kilograms. If I bring in another block, you see, and glue it between the 2, it can take 2,177 kgs. So 2 blocks is not 870, it is over 2,000 kgs. If I bring in a third wooden block, and again use a glue and align it properly, that will carry a weight of 4,000 kilograms. Now you understand why 2 plus 2 is not 4? This is what we mean by synergy. When you come together supporting each other, you will see much greater result. So the question then is, what is the glue that holds these blocks together? Answer is trust. If you can't have a trustful relationship, this is not going to happen. The trust, the value system, and again, when you think of trust, there are 2 aspects to it. One is, do I trust this person's ability? Number 2, do I trust this person's intent? Some of those names that you have seen in newspapers and media in India under the Me Too movement, right? Do we have any doubts about their ability? No, they can do it. What are we afraid of? Their intent, right? So we need good intention and we need ability for trust to be built. Number two, how well are these blogs aligned with one another? In other words, do you share the values with that other person? If you do, it's possible for us to have those synergistic, strategic, value-driven networks. So this is where I would like you to focus on. Stephen Covey also talks about maturity. I know a lot of you here in this webinar are just starting out your careers, right? There is such a thing called maturity continuum. When we start as very dependent on our parents, our teachers, or who knows, even our managers. We are focused so much on ourselves because dependence, they all want you to become independent. Your parents want you to be independent. Your friends would like to be independent. Your boss would like you to be independent, right? So once you become independent, you already have risen in the maturity continuum. But guess what? That is not sufficient. Very few things in life happen because you are a very good solo artist. It takes a village to raise. Same thing is true, whether it is your career or your professional growth. You need others. In order for you to interact with them, this is called interdependence, you have to recognize that we have to be in the win-win situation. In other words, I should let you win and you let me win. We are in it together. We synergize, the habit number 6. You try to understand others. What do they need? How can I help them? That's when they also say, yeah, how can I help you? You see? So in order for us to move from dependence to independence, most of us, when we finish college, I think we are there at the independent stage. We have to move to interdependence. And that's hard because those of you who are married, I don't think it's a majority, you know, marriage is about interdependence. You depend on your spouse. You cannot have a good marriage if two of us do not work together. And interdependence is tougher. It was so nice. I had my own apartment. I had my own flat and I lived, now I've gotten married. I have to follow some routine, timetable, discipline. Yeah, that's true. Interdependency means respecting the other person's need as much as you want them to respect your needs and your values. So this is the kind of networking that we are looking at. So focus on the relationships. You see, when you have started on network, focus on the relationships. What are some of the common interests I share with these people? What can I give? The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity. And I know what you're saying in your mind, several of you so young and said, what can I do to help you, Sridhar? You want to network with me, then what can you do for me? Believe me, you have a lot to give to people, okay? You have a lot to give. You have to make sure you have that to give people. Focus on learning. Learning and relationships, absolutely top priority when you start out networking. So this is where the gender differences come in. You see, we men are essentially hunters. If you go back centuries, thousands of years, you took an arrow or you took some flint, and you have a gun, you go there, you shot, oh, done, I'm going home. That is the hunting approach. Networking is not about hunting approach. Networking is more like farming. Those are samplings that you have to nourish them with water, with fertilizer, with a lot of care. That's when those saplings become trees. So networking is not just knowing somebody, but actually building relationship there. What else is important when you're networking? Embrace your personality. Embrace your personality. Be authentic. Don't try to fake what you are not. You will come to know very quickly that it's a facade. You have to be confident about your skills. You have had education. You had college education, which is even much more valuable now. So you have a lot of skills. The thing is, maybe you have not honed it. Maybe you're not confident. Maybe you have not tried to use it. But don't try to be somebody who you are not. An answer, I don't know, is much better than, let me give you some answer. So don't fake it. Embrace your personality. I did saw in chat line when I was asking about the barriers, some people said introverted. Yes, some people are introverted. That means they would like to work alone. They would like to be left alone, and they do not like too many interruptions. But introverts bring a lot of value. They may not like a network of 100 people, but that network of 20 people are very meaningful, very powerful, and they can get done. So introversion, extroversion should not be a problem with you. You both have values to bring. You have something to contribute. So embrace your personality. Also become memorable. What do I mean by that? There are 1,000 people. How can I make an impression like that red umbrella in the graphic? How can I do that? What is the distinct quality that you have that Pooja has, but Ankush does not? How can I remember you? The way to do is not to grow huge afro hair. The way to do that is not to go with a huge tattoo or wear a very loud tie or make loud noises. Yeah, they all get attention, but they also get a lot of derision. You have to be clearly share with the people what is of passion to you. What makes you passionate? What are some of the skills and experience that you have which stands out? That is 70%. Also, it's okay to share personal things. You see, we human beings, in spite of all the hierarchy, we are very much focused on personal details. I'm not talking about the private. Again, as I said at the beginning, please do not share your private information unless you trust the people. Certainly not in a forum like this. But on the other hand, be personal. So being personal doesn't mean sharing all your private information. So that way they can connect a person's face to a name and they know you. So become memorable. There are some other tips that we should be. arrive on time. Yes, it's a huge thing. It's a huge cultural thing. Many of our cultures, including Indian culture, we do not look at time as a linear thing. चलो यार हो जाएगा 5-10 मिनट, क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है? No. Now that we are in a globalized world, we should start on time, we should end on time. And we are perfectly capable. Let me give you 2 examples. I come from a family which has been influenced by Sri Ramakrishna mission. And I was a student in one of their hostels too. In the Ramakrishna mission, going back to the beginning of 20th century, timeliness is very paramount. So we Indians can do it. We can be on time. And when you come on time, you are respecting the other person. If you arrive on time, it's easy for you to approach and talk to people before they are crowded by others. When you come there on time, you are respecting the people who have organized the meeting. So number one, I know we have traffic problems. I know we have to change 2 trains. Then you know how to factor them all in your schedule. So first thing, arrive on time. Number 2, never rush into the room. Take your time, look around. Who is welcoming, who is not, who is talking to whom. Just get a lay of the land, if you will. Spot the key persons and see what are the dynamics. Observe. Dress appropriately. It's such a hard thing for us to convey why it is important to dress appropriately. Whatever way you wear, let it be clean. I know something, oh, come on, Sridhar, oh, I'm a college graduate. Now you come to some of the meetings and you will see people with a string of degrees still coming like slobs. I'm not suggesting you have to wear a tie or a jacket. No, none of those. Whatever culturally appropriate, wear that, and it should be situationally appropriate. So dress appropriately and be groomed properly. Smile, handshake. Again, these are all cultural things. And I know India is changing culturally, but there are still some are very fiercely Indian. And that's why when you go there, if it is a woman, handshake, wait. If she extends her hand, it's okay. If doesn't, don't force it on them. Eye contact, erect posture. So it's very important that you make a very good impression. Direct eye contact, in some cultures it is considered rude, in some cultures it's said, oh, it's okay. So whatever is culturally appropriate. But I tell you one thing, good posture and smile is welcome in any culture and every culture. Okay, so then come prepared with a compelling and easy to understand self-introduction. We call it a 30-second elevator speech. If you take a lift or an elevator, you are able to tell the other person who you are in those 30 seconds. Don't try to do it right there. It takes practice. Write down, practice it. I'm so-and-so. I'm interested in this topic. I have this experience. This is what I do. I love to learn something more about it from you. Also know how to make and respond to introductions. You are introduced, and how do you respond to that? Be ready. And how do you introduce others? Very important. When I go to some of these networking situations, I see some people take some other newcomers and introduce them. That's very important. That's when we know we are in a trustworthy relationship. Everybody is trying to help others. So know how to make introductions, how to respond to introductions. Now, this may look small, but I'm telling you, I've had situations where we recruited for dean's position. Okay, dean is like head of the whole college. We have had candidates with PhDs, and their hand is full of all the things that we are serving in a meeting, and their hands are not free, and there is a drink, and they drop the whole thing on themselves or on the floor, embarrassing themselves. I have a very short thing. I know when you go there, good food, and I love good food, and no doubt about it. But then, especially if you are going around, make sure you know how to handle the cocktail utensils or plate, and you don't eat so much. There's always a time for eating. Follow those manners, and you'll make a much better impression. Master the art of small talk. And some people have thought, oh, I will tell them jokes. No, I didn't mean that. If jokes come to you naturally, that's fine, but don't pretend what you are not. And certainly, what dirty joke you learned may be very good among your friends. You do not want to share it with them. That doesn't make you look smart. But small talk is good about your family, about your weather, or your school, or cricket score. Sure, stay away from politics and religion if you can. Small talk, that's not a good place to do that. Know how to gracefully enter and exit conversations. After 41 years in the United States, I still have a problem. If somebody is talking to me, how do I go away from them? My even undergraduate students in America, it's cultural. They say, oh, sorry, Dr. Sridhar, I have to go. And they take off. And that's an art. How do you do it? I still have a problem with that. But you should know how to get out, how to get in. Last but not the least, follow up with people. If you have told them you will share something, you're going to do something for them, please follow up. A thank you note would be wonderful. Thank you, I met you and I learned quite a bit. I would like to be in touch with you. Send them an email or a letter. So you want to follow up. So there are different steps that you can. And I have requested Chitraji to share the handouts, and you should be able to get them. So you can start networking in your organization. How do you do that? I have a few only. I'm not going to read the entire list. Volunteer for some project. Can I work with you on this? Especially if it is cross-functional marketing, HR, information, technology. Yeah, cut across the borders. Volunteer. Go to your company functions, your organizational functions, social functions. If there are some athletic activities, go there, participate. Ask your direct reports how you can facilitate their development. You see, now it's not only about helping yourself. Chitra, Ramya, how can I help you? Right? So ask that. Meet your peers in the organization over lunch and coffee. You don't know how many things are decided over lunch or coffee. How many ideas come on the back of your paper napkin? Send thank you notes. If that is the organizational level, in your profession, again, find out which are some of the organizations where you can become a member. If you're quite junior, many professional organizations have a student chapter. You're still in college, you can go there. Socialize with your peers. Aha, one more thing. You went to this particular seminar in HR on networking. Now you listen to it, it can happen to you and me right now. And you go back and you come across another article on networking. All you have to do is attach that and send it to Dr. Sridhar. We met this place. I thought you may like this article. Now you see how even as a student, you can add value to somebody who is in the field. So send those newspaper clippings, but everything within limits. Don't flood them, but it should be meaningful. That's how, when I have met 1,000 people, you stand out. You are the one who followed up on it. Network within the community. It could be Rotary. See, I wear my Rotary very, very prominently because it's part of my identity. But what it does is when I show up at a meeting with a Rotary shirt, it's an invitation to other Rotarians to come and, oh, I can go and talk to him. Right? So service groups, Lions, JCs, find out what is relevant to you. If there is some social work that's going on, increasing literacy, preventing breast cancer, go ahead and do it. But that has nothing to do with, I'm an engineer. That's true. But there may be another volunteer there who happens to be the CEO of another company. And you don't have resume, don't worry. That person remembers you because in your spare time, you come and work in this literacy campaign. Become involved in arts, theater, symphony. Meet members of your religious organization. Welcome people to your community. So there are a lot that you can do to enhance your network. So what I would like you to do is, when we are done today, make a list of these organizations. I mean, this is by no chance it's comprehensive. Act today. Join, send for information, do research. Quality over quantity. I have LinkedIn there. Every day, as soon as Chitra posted this, I had several requests saying that, can I be in your network? That is quantity. No, you cannot be in my network. Not because I don't think you deserve, but again, I want to know what I can do for you and what can I bring to your table. Just having 500 plus in LinkedIn because it stops at 500, right, is not going to help you. Quality over quantity. Invest time and effort. Turn the spotlight on others instead of yourself. Follow, follow up, follow up. Oh, I just, remember all those tree planting that happens? People come, the ministers come, governor comes, you go there and then you plant this and then you go back there after 2-3 months. What happened to the trees? Poor thing is dying. Same thing happens to networking. You have to follow up. Let me end with a personal perspective on networking. You should approach the whole thing with mentality of abundance. There's a lot in this world, and we can share, we can create. So I don't have to rush to the table to have everything for myself. There's plenty, and we can all share, we can all create. Remember the famous quote of John Kennedy. He talked about the country. You can change it. Ask not what others can do for you. Ask what you can do for others. Trust is the key currency. If your intent is not honorable, no trust can be built. If you don't have the ability, you cannot. And also there is something called the Indian advantage. What it is you might have heard, it's called the 6 degrees of separation. What do we mean by that? Well, you can develop a network, say, okay, I know Chitra and Chitra knows so-and-so, and that person knows And then it goes to Mr. Modi. Wait a minute, the Prime Minister? Yes. So people, according to one study, is that within 6 degrees of separation, the whole world knows somebody or other. But in India, I think it's only 2 or 3 degrees. You just stop, because we are such social animals, community-oriented, family-oriented, right? So we have an Indian advantage in networking, and use that. Before I take your questions, let me share with you. What you have here is a honeybee. It lives somewhere between 14 days to 28 days. Can you see the span? Just 14 to 28 days. In that short lifespan, it takes the nectar from the flowers. It takes the pollen from the flowers. It gives us the honey. It gives us the bee wax. It promotes pollination so that our gardens are full of bloom. 40% of the food production is dependent on honeybees. See, all that happened because this tiny honeybee believes in networking. Paropakaraya phalanti vriksha. Paropakaraya vahanti nadya. Paropakaraya duhanti gavaha. Paropakarartha idam shariram. Bilhana, a 11th century poet from Kashmir in Vikramacharita. That is, trees bear fruit so that others can savor and enjoy. Rivers flow to quench our thirst. River is not drinking its own water. Cows yield milk to sustain us. Likewise, we are endowed with this life. For bees, it is 14 to 28 days. For us, several years, many more years, to be of service to others. Hope you all network more from what you can do for others as much as it is for your own growth and development. Thank you, and I will take questions from you now. What precautions should women take while networking? Check out the reputation. Go with somebody whom you trust, who is already a member of that network. Till you develop trust, make sure you are in a group situation. Always good to have a mentor. Your mentor can take you to the right networking circles and introduce you. That's why trust is the #1 quality. Other questions? Narayan Hariharan.
Sridhar sir, Mr. Hariharan sir is here.
Hello, how are you? Other questions for me? Go ahead, use the chat room and raise any questions you may have.
So do you think that networking online is a bit challenging, or it has difficulties?
Actually, it has its advantages. You know, who would have thought? I have been teaching online for since 1998, before it became. So I have gone through some 5 platforms for teaching and all that. And thanks to this Zoomly, right? What has happened is I am able to reach out people whom normally I would not. I was putting together a program called Rhythms of the World last year, basically featuring the local artists from different cultures. Last year, we had to do a Facebook, right? I was able to get people from far and wide, artists who didn't even know what Appleton is or where it is. So yeah, it can be helpful. I know one person wanted a question to be answered. That is, I believe, Amol. You seem to have had a question. Unmute yourself, or you can send me the question. How to create best networking in the world? Imtiaz, don't even try to create a best network. There's no such thing as best. Anything that you create can be improved. So go with a moderate expectation. How do I create a workable network? Over years, that workable network improves. Best network, I don't think anybody can give you an answer to that. Any other questions? Hello? If we do not have other questions, thank you very much for attending today's presentation. Again, as I said, I do get a lot of requests to be on LinkedIn. Let me tell you, I want to know how exactly I can add value to you. So that means if I get 20, 30, 50 requests, I'm not going to click on them unless you tell me I can be of value to you in some specific fashion. There are a lot of people out there, like I mentioned, with the name of my friend Praveen Shastri. We are network for life, right? So it takes effort, it takes sincerity, it takes trust, and I know you can all do it. I wish you all the best. Tanmayji, Chitra, Ramya, and other colleagues at TISS, thank you very much for this opportunity and have a great evening. Thank you.
Sridhar sir, thank you so much. Such a wonderful session, and thank you for giving us such a great learning experience. Chitra ji, Tanmay sir, would you like to join me in thanking sir?
Yes.
Yes. Just will unshare the screen. Yeah, I think, sir, it was an amazing session. And what you spoke about strategic, synergetic, and value-based networking. And with an example to end this presentation, the story of honeybee, I think what a perfect end to the presentation. I'm sure students must have learned a lot of things today. I leave the formal vote of thanks to Chitra ji, but I personally loved listening to you, learned a lot this evening. Thank you so much for sparing your time and sharing these insights with our students who joined us this evening from across the country. Thank you once again, and we are so grateful. Thank you. Chitra ji, I leave the formal vote of thanks to you. Students, you can, if you have any questions, just in case you want to watch this video, please go back and watch. This is available on YouTube. If you have any questions you feel you want to ask to Dr. Sridhar, please write to us. We'll try and get you an answer from him. And we definitely look forward to many more sessions by Dr. Sridhar. I think these are some of the evenings so well spent, I would say. Thank you so much. Chitra ji, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Tanmay sir. I, on behalf of NUSSD TISS team, principals and faculties of our participating colleges, I extend gratitude to Dr. Sridhar for conducting such an amazing session. Undoubtedly, networking is an important skill and has become even more important in the age of social media. And we are happy for the fact that student got this opportunity to learn the art and science of networking, synergetic, value-driven, strategic networking from none other than an expert of your stature, sir. I sincerely thank you for your time and look forward to many more sessions by you in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you all the students for participating. Thank you all the faculty and principals, my colleagues at TISS and TIS alumni, Mr. Shastri, Dr. Hariharan, Mr. Arun Kaimal. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.